There are literally hundreds of thousands of knit and crochet patterns out there that call for fingering weight yarn. But if you are on a tight budget, or if you need to avoid wool, or both, this yarn review is for you. Hey there, yarn crazies. Fingering weight yarns are ubiquitous. It is the most common weight you find on offer from indie dyers. Most yarn shops stock a ton of it, and there are over 200,000 patterns on the Ravelry database alone that call for fingering or fine fingering weight yarn. But as I mentioned in the intro, if you're on a tight budget and have either a need or a desire to avoid wool, you should seriously consider looking at Bamboo Pop Sock from Universal. We've had this yarn in stock at the shop for a good long while, but I only recently worked with it to make this. And now Bamboo Pop has been added to my I wish I had worked with this yarn sooner list. Bamboo Pop Sock is pretty unique in the fingering weight category, which tends to be heavily dominated by superwash merino wool or wool and nylon blends. The content on this yarn is 37% cotton, 55% bamboo, and 8% PBT, which is a form of elastic. Universal classifies this yarn as a fine fingering weight, and with my wraps per inch tests all coming in at a consistent 14 WPI, this stuff will give you a pretty fine and lightweight fabric. Now here's where the budget-friendly factor comes into play. Right now, each ball of Bamboo Pop Sock sells for about $12 and is listed at 450 meters or 492 yards per 100 gram ball. Yep, you heard that right. You get almost 500 yards with each of these little beauties. So if you are looking at patterns that call for a lot of yardage or multiple colors, this yarn could save you a lot of cash. As you would expect from the fiber content, this yarn is machine washable, but please lay it flat to dry. The heat and the friction of the dryer will damage the PBT and the other fibers, and probably shorten its lifespan and definitely rough up the texture a little bit. Bamboo Pop Sock comes in both multis and in solid colors. There are 22 solids in neutrals, pastels, and more saturated colorways, all of which we stock at Grandma's, and 24 multis, although I haven't seen 5 of them yet because they are brand new and we are still waiting for them to arrive at the shop. By the way, I know some of the original colors of the multis are being discontinued, so if you see one that you like, you might want to hop online and buy some now while we still have it in stock. Just saying. The multis are split up into what I would consider 2 sub-collections. They are all self-striping, but some of them consist of all solid colored stripes, while the others are these heathered or speckled stripes with sections that are a little more solid than others. One of the things I really appreciate about the labels on the multis is that each one has a little image on the inside that gives you an idea of what the color sequence looks like. Now let's talk needle and hook sizes and about working with this yarn. The manufacturer recommends a 2.25 millimeter or US size 1 knitting needle and 2.75 millimeter or C hook for crochet. I agree with the recommended needle size, but I disagree about the hook size, and I will explain why here in just a moment. Here's my knit swatch on the US size 1, unwashed on the left and washed on the right. Washing and blocking evened out the stitches and allowed the yarn to bloom a little bit. You definitely want to make a washed swatch if you are making something where fit matters. The label calls out 30 stitches and 36 rows per 4 inches, but I ended up with 32 stitches and 46 rows per 4 inches, and washing didn't really change my numbers any. Your gauge could be drastically different from mine, of course, so again, swatch if you're making something where fit matters. Here's my crochet swatch, unwashed on the left and washed on the right, with rows of half double crochet on the bottom in the recommended C hook and Tunisian simple stitch on the top done with an E hook. Washing didn't change my gauge here either, but the stitches did even out a little and the blooming of the fibers softened the stitch definition. I have to say that I wasn't entirely happy with this crochet swatch, so here's another swatch, crocheted this time with a 3.25 millimeter or D hook. Double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, it doesn't matter. I like the stitch definition, the feel, and the look of this fabric a lot more. So my personal recommendation for you crocheters is to go bigger with your hook size unless you are doing amigurumi and want really dense fabric. And yes, this probably would make wonderful amigurumi. On to working with it and wearing it. After making this garment and my swatch experiments, I am a huge fan. For starters, I had zero problems with splitting, which can sometimes be a problem with cotton and bamboo yarns. With such a high fraction of bamboo, you would also expect this yarn to be super slippery, but it really isn't. And I think that is due to the unmercerized cotton in the content and the structure of the strand being a little bumpy along the entire length. Here's a close-up image showing the texture. See that spiral structure? Those ridges and furrows are part of why the finished fabric is fairly low definition, low stitch definition, and why the yarn isn't slippery. That little bit of stabilizing elastic does an awful lot to combat the lack of memory and bounce that non-wool yarns generally exhibit. And so far, customers at the shop who have made socks with this have had great things to say about how it wears. As far as how it feels, all I can say is yummy. It feels so nice when it is washed. The right side of the stockinette fabric is smooth to the touch, and the wrong side, or the pearl ridged side, is still incredibly soft, but almost feels like a super soft velveteen or a microfiber fabric. It feels so nice. You can make things out of this for newborns, cancer patients, and other folks with extremely sensitive skin without hesitation. Of course, none of this should have been a surprise to me. Back in November, I was traveling for a wedding and I saw a beautiful sample shawl made with bamboo pop sock at Spry Whimsy in Wisconsin. It was the Tamdao shawl, hope I'm saying that right, designed by Melanie Berg, and it was drapey and smooth and fabulous. And even though it requires 3 colors, you're looking at what, $36 plus tax for the whole project? As for what I made, this is the lupine jacket pattern from Adriaphil and is a good project for us by Stitchuals. The mesh body panels are crocheted and the borders are all 2x2 ribbing applied by picking up edge stitches. I know they call it a jacket, but it's really more just a cardigan or a vest. Regardless of what you call it, it worked up really fast because you hold the yarn double throughout. The yardage requirements listed on the pattern seem a little intimidating, but the double strand helps a lot, and so does using an affordable yarn like bamboo pop sock. Now for you sock people, here is a fun sample a customer at the shop loaned to us. Talk about a great summer weight sock material. The pattern is the Swirl E socks and it's free on Ravelry. The texture is simple enough that it doesn't get lost in the stripes and the colors of the yarn. I suggest staying away from patterns that involve small intricate cables or all over lace patterns. The low stitch definition of this yarn will not be your friend in those situations. I encourage you to go look at all the projects posted on Ravelry made with both the solids and the multis. There are all sorts of cool garments and accessories and socks and things to peruse, and definitely go check out the Universal website to look at the patterns they have designed specifically for bamboo pop sock. I am seriously considering adding the sand and sky tank to my wardrobe if I could only decide on colors. Thanks for watching today, and a big welcome to all of my recent subscribers. If you shop for yarns online and there is a yarn you would like me to do a review on, please let me know. My next couple videos are probably going to be tutorials, one of them being a follow-up on questions viewers asked after watching my magic loop videos. If there's a knitting or crochet technique or some other yarn related topic you'd like me to cover, please let me know because I'm here to help. In the meanwhile, please take care of yourselves, take some time to make some things that make you happy, and I'll see you next time.